quite a while since we've been in Soweto.
The Reserve Bank's monetary policy of inflation targeting is a product of the country's policy choices. Members of the Monetary Policy Committee visited Soweto to explain their recent policy decisions. The bank has hiked the cost of borrowing by 475 basis points since November 2021 to tame the rising inflation, a move that struggling consumers see more as a punishment.
Since this year, you increase repo rates by 50 points based 2 times. And this thing of repo rate is raping our people. Young people, they are losing houses. They cannot get jobs. We do understand, I don't know the analyst, the economist, people what they're doing when they analyze when you increase the basic points.
But Deputy Reserve Bank Governor Naidu was quick to remind the Soweto residents that the aim of the monetary policy is to contain inflation.
You walk to the side of the street to buy tomatoes and the price of tomatoes has gone up. So you buy the tomatoes, you feel poorer. Let's assume that you work in a furniture shop. You go to the furniture shop owner and you say, you know, the price of tomatoes has gone up. Can I have a salary increase, please? Because I'm poorer now. The furniture owner says, yeah, sure, here's a salary increase. The next day, the price of the desk goes up from 100 Rand to 105 Rand. The furniture shop has to put up the price of the desk to compensate for giving you a bigger salary increase. On day 3, Pamela comes to buy the desk. The desk used to cost 100, it now costs 105 Rand. So Pamela then works for Mr. Kganyago in his shop. Pamela then goes to Mr. Kganyago and said, the desk cost more, can I have more money? Inflation spreads.
Some residents said they could not fully take part in the engagements with the SAB due to their limited understanding of the issues.
What we have experienced is that there is a huge gap in terms of knowledge. There is a knowledge gap between the people in the communities or business people in the communities and the Reserve Bank. We do not see any effort or any programs that they develop, the Reserve Bank is bringing into the communities to educate.
Most of the people don't understand it. The way they are actually talking about them, you can see that some people are a little bit not understanding things up to the fullest potential. You see, because those guys, you see, as I said, if you talk about the monetary policy to an average person who has never been to the school, to what extent is that person going to be understanding that thing effectively? It's quite tough.
Kganyago said the bank's role to educate the public is limited to the role of the MPC.
Most of the time when we try to educate about other things, we get into trouble because people say, no, you must only talk about your things. And maybe they are right, and they're probably right. Because then, that means we can only educate you about monetary policy, financial stability, payment systems, because that is what we have been given responsibility for. But I do hear you that we actually need a better informed public.
Kganyago was at pains to point out that the bank's analysis on the risks facing the local economy is often misunderstood.
We didn't say the grip is going to collapse. We said in the unlikely event of it happening, if it happens, how will the South African Reserve Bank ensure that you continue to make payments? We identified that. We identified the second risk. We said that it seems to us, in the engagement with the people who make decisions about the flowing of money, who lend us money, they do not understand our policy of non-neutrality.
Among the bank's recent assessment is the potential impact of de-dollarization on South Africa. Deputy Governor Fundi Chazibana says it will be difficult for South Africa to move away from the American dollar at this point, as 80% of our trade is quoted in US dollar.
I think it's important to understand that as a country, probably almost 80% of our trade is quoted in dollars. Now, if we want to decide tomorrow we're going to use an alternative currency, there are obviously consequences. So you can pick an alternative currency that is not the US dollar. But eventually, to make that final payment, you will convert first into your currency, but that currency has to be converted into US dollars.
At the end, some welcomed the opportunity to speak to the Reserve Bank governor and his team. Good news is that the central bank believes its long fight against inflation is starting to yield positive results, citing recent data which shows signs of a slowing inflationary trend. Tshepo Mongwai, SABC News, Soweto.